Hello, everybody. This is that time of the week. This is that time of the day. This is Kubefirst Live. Happy, always happy to be here. I was telling John before the show, not sure if it's winter time or whatever. I feel tired today. Maybe it's just because like it's gray outside where I live, and suddenly we go live, and I'm just happy to be here, and I got all that energy to do that live stream. So yeah, how was life, John?
Life is good, Fred. I feel like I'm feeling a little bit tired today. I was hanging out too late with my buddy Christian last night, getting some final pieces in that we might be able to showcase today. I'm looking forward to showing a slight improvement to the GitOps catalog. But yeah, always happy to hang out with you and talk cloud native and share with the community. So good to be here, buddy.
Wonderful. So, as you may have guessed, or if you read like the social media on Twitter, LinkedIn, even TikTok now, today we're going to talk about the GitOps catalogs. But we already talked a little bit before about the GitOps catalog. We've shown you what it is. We're going to explain a little more today again what it is, but we will mostly focus on how you can add your own application to the GitOps catalog. So, what's the process to do that? It's an open source repository. We're going to show you how to do that with, you probably guessed it if it's not the first time with us, with some nice game that we really like. So that's going to be a demo today. May not be as long as the usual live stream that we have, but we never know with John and I. We're two big talkers, so we'll see how it goes. But first, what is the GitOps catalog? Do you want me to go, John, or do you want to?
Up to you, Fred. In fact, I would love to hear your pitch on the GitOps catalog. Let me put you on the spot like that.
Oh God! Now I got some pressure. My boss is watching my pitch about the GitOps catalog. So actually, I'm not sure. No, joke aside, GitOps catalog for me, it's ClickOps done well, which is like the only time I think ClickOps is done well. You know it. We're a GitOps shop. Git is your source of truth, but still, you need to go to Git. You need to have your application with the YAML file, and there's still like a manual process to do. So we try to make your life easier with the GitOps catalog. So when you create your Kubefirst cluster, you get your Kubernetes cluster, your management cluster, and you have that beautiful link and tab called the GitOps catalog with a list of applications that you can easily install on your cluster. And what's the process? You click install, and this is where I say it's ClickOps done well, because what happened behind this is that we will basically add the proper files from the GitOps catalog to your GitOps repository. So we're not installing directly with Helm. We're not doing some shenanigan with directly within Argo CD. We basically put the file in your GitOps catalog and let the rest of the magic happen. So Argo CD for the next sing wave will check your GitOps repository and will be like, hey, there is something new here. And the magic will happen. You're going to have your new applications going to be deployed. So it's a way for us to make your life easier, to quickly install application, to more easily install different application. And it also had ups to like the Kubefirst story, where I like to think about Kubefirst as I say this all the time, I repeat myself, but like as a production-ready Kubernetes clusters with all the tools you need to be successful that are production-ready. But it's also a magnificent platform if you want to testing, if you want to iterate, if you want to try destroy things and just like restart again. So if you want to try different application, the GitOps catalogs is also for me an easy way to install and try different application to see like if there is a fit from my cluster. So actually that was not elevator pitch. That was more like a long story about like my vision about GitOps catalog.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. It was a great breakdown, Fred. I think the enormous takeaway that I hope the community really grabs onto is like marketplaces for apps is not new, obviously. You go to any old cloud and you can likely find that you can create a Kubernetes cluster, and they'll have a marketplace where you can add more apps to your cluster. And you're doing ClickOps operations in the console, and it's convenient and it's nice to have a fast start like that. But as a GitOps practitioner, it's not what you want. You need your desired state in Git so that when that cluster disappears off the face of the earth, you don't have a run list of steps that you have to do to get it back to the state that it was in. You can just reapply your GitOps and have the exact same cluster back. So that was the motivator for creating the GitOps catalog. In addition to one other aspect, which is that we're always trying to find that balance line in between what we want to do as the Kubefirst platform and what we want our end users to do to take that platform and run with it. And there are all kinds of great cloud native tools that I want Kubefirst users to use, but every shop is not the same. And we have to provide a minimal production ready platform for everybody, but we want to be able to empower people to extend beyond that minimal install and add a bunch of other great tools into the platform. And because we have this platform that we understand that has these foundational pieces, like a place to store your secrets and a place to run infrastructure as code, a way to execute GitOps, because those foundational components exist on a Kubefirst platform, a marketplace ecosystem that's GitOps oriented is just really perfect because it allows us to say, hey, Caverno or Argo events, maybe it's not for everybody, but it will be for a lot of you. And so all those tools that are not for everyone, but that are very great tools for you to use, we're going to be putting those in the GitOps catalog and expecting you to leverage the catalog in order to extend beyond that core installation that we do on the control planes.
Yeah, and this is one of the things I really love with again, I'm biased, but one of the things I really love with Kubefirst is that we don't give you a bloated cluster in the end. We put what we think is useful for you to be successful, like mostly all case scenario, and after that, it's your cluster, it's your GitOps repo. Do whatever you want to do. And today we're telling you about how to do that for two reasons. First, I think I said it before, the GitOps catalog is open source, meaning that, like, yes, we will continue to add application to the catalog. It's only the beginning. At the same time, we are always looking for people, like if you feel like there is a missing application in the catalog, if there is something that you would like to see there, or even if it's not for you personally, you say like, hey guy, like why are you missing that? It doesn't make sense. You have two ways of doing that. You let us know, you create an issue, you go on github.com/kubefirst/gitops-catalog, and you create an issue, and at some point us or someone in the community will be able to add it. Or should I say, even better, you create a PR and you had the application yourself. So the goal today is to show you how to do that. But it's not just about us. It's not just about us wanting to have like a bigger GitOps catalogs and wanting people to, let's be honest, kind of like do your job, but it's not really what we're looking for. It's also because in the future, we're going to talk a little more about that later, but we're going to come in a way for you to customize that catalog. So internally, you can use it to create and deploy new cluster more easily and really empower your team. So by showing you how to easily add application to the GitOps catalog, which is the open source GitOps catalog right now that everybody has access, the process should be quite the same. I don't want to set this in stone because we did not implement that feature yet, but I would assume that the process would be quite the same. So you're going to have like that nice video where it's going to show you step by step how easy it is to add your application to the catalog.
Yep. Yeah, no, spot on. And hopefully this is going to be a quick one, and that'll just exemplify how easy it is to add an app to the GitOps catalog. Want to call out for any of our viewers, it's especially valuable if you have an application that you're building yourself and you want to be able to deliver that application to downstream clients in a self-hosted way on production-ready infrastructure. Kubefirst is an exceptional and free way to do that. By adding your application to the GitOps catalog, you can install Kubefirst clusters for free that are production ready and locked up and ready to go. And then you can have your clients add your application to the platform with a simple button click, and you'll be portable across local platforms, Civo, Vultr, DigitalOcean, GCP, AWS, and more clouds to come. So, I know there's likely to be a lot of folks that tune into the Kubefirst live streams, and I'm sure a lot of them are building apps and have aspirations of being able to deliver that to downstream client environments, and Kubefirst is an exceptional way to do that. So
yeah. And even to add on that, and after that, let's do demo. Let's stop talking. But even to add to that, like we don't have the pretentious to be like a Microsoft or GitHub or like or Stripe or a big company. But at the same time, we have users using Kubefirst, and that's still going to keep growing. So right now, it's a good time also if you have like a developer advocate, if you're a product owner, if you are doing marketing, to think about heading your own cloud native application to the catalog, because what's going to happen, everybody is going to create a Kubernetes cluster with Kubefirst. When they're going to access the GitOps catalog, they're going to see your application in the list. So that's good free promotion again, also for the rest of the world that may not even know about you. So hey, I'm just trying to sell the thing. I think there's it's another opportunities out there. But let's stop talking and let's do
some demos. Yeah. All right, so what we're looking at here, just maybe a half hour ago, I ran a Kubefirst launch up, and that created this user interface here that we're looking at. It gave me a little wizard when I went through step 1, 2, and 3 to identify my cloud details, Git details, and DNS details. And then I hit a magic go button. And then about 15, it was actually more like 20 minutes later, I had this fully completed cluster. Haven't touched it yet. So you're going to get to see the whole experience of a management cluster in Kubefirst. I'm going to copy this. We start you out with an initial KBot user. It's an administrative user that serves as your robot account for the platform. And when we hop into your new management cluster, you're going to have to log in through Vault to gain access to Kubefirst. So the username is KBot. Copied. I'm going to paste that password right in here. And we give you a quick tour about cluster management. You can just skip right through that.
Wait a minute.
I know.
I did not even see that.
So I'm running off development for the demo today because I wanted to show something, and that's not in production yet, but that will be in our next drop. It's super neat. Super neat.
Right? Damn, I snooze on the meeting. That's amazing. Like, wow, that's great. Sorry, that was a wow moment that I had to share with everyone, but I was just like, what the heck is that? That's amazing.
Not at all. Yeah, every time I see it, I love it too. So the point of today's conversation is going to be about the GitOps catalog. And when we start you out on the Kubefirst platform with your management control plane, we start you out with a bunch of applications. We give you some convenient little tiles here to tell you about the applications that you've added. But then up here, there's also this GitOps catalog where if you want to add additional applications to the platform, you just have to come through here and click install for whatever the application is that you're interested in. So to give you an example here, I'm going to pick Argo Events and just install that. And what this is going to do is, in a typical marketplace ecosystem in like a cloud, for example, this is where they would be Helm applying Argo Events to your Kubernetes cluster, or Helm installing to your Kubernetes cluster. But Kubefirst GitOps catalog works a little bit differently. So if I go back to provision services and hit the GitOps repo and go to the registry clusters management cluster here, we should be able to see, right up here, there's right now a new file that's been added to my GitOps repo called Argo Events. And it's got some stuff in it. It's a API Argo Proj kind application. And it's just a Helm chart that installs Argo Events at version 2.3.3. And because that's in this directory structure, we have let me go to Argo CD. we have the registry wired up to automatically pull that YAML into what it's trying to deliver to the cluster. And you can see here, we already have this Argo events as of 1 minute ago. That's how we get applications into your cluster. We don't Helm install directly. We don't kubectl apply directly. All we're doing is dropping YAML content with your desired state in your GitOps repo. And then Argo CD wakes up, says, hey, I've got a change. I need to sync it. And then it syncs it to your Kubernetes cluster for you. No scripting involved. We don't have any CI/CD pipelines or anything like that. That's just GitOps doing its job. So I guess the $1 million question is, how do you get apps to show up over here? And today we're going to walk through that. It's pretty simple. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go to the GitOps catalog. Let me pull it up on screen. It's this is our Kubefirst GitOps catalog. It's at github.com/kubefirst/GitOps catalog. And as Fred was describing, it's a community-driven cloud-native project. And basically, any application under the sun that you're interested in having on the Kubefirst platform, we are happy to add to the GitOps catalog. It doesn't matter if it's just some weird thing that you and 7 of your favorite friends are the only ones on the planet that are interested in it. It's truly no additional burden to us to have as many apps in here as possible. So whatever you want in here, go ahead and submit a pull request or open an issue. The docs in here are really thorough and well written. We're going to do the TLDR version for the demo today. Basically what that means is we're going to start out in this GitOps catalog repo that I cloned. I'm on the main branch right here. Let me go ahead and change that and open a new branch. Git checkout -b new flappy kray. And now that we're in a new branch, we have 4 updates to make in this repo. So it's easiest to start with index.yaml. Excuse me. Index.yaml is the driver. This is the definition of all of the apps that'll be included in the GitOps catalog for anyone's Kubefirst that they provision. And the way that we tie the GitOps catalog to people's Kubefirst clusters, we actually have a polling mechanism that runs every 30 minutes that pulls updates in from our GitOps catalog. So if there's a bug in the catalog, it's very easy to get that resolved and remediated in your existing stack. And so that any new applications that get added to the catalog are available to your pre-existing management clusters. Basically, all you have to do is create a new array item to represent your new app. I have a cheat sheet example here that we're going to talk through. It's let's go in alphabetical order: E, F, G. F is before G, and let's paste that right there. So Flappy K-Ray here. Flappy K-Ray, we're just going to give it a name. This is an important detail just in terms of the directory structure that we're going to create. It has to be a one-to-one match. So whatever you name this here, keep it lowercase. We're going to create a folder in a second that looks exactly like it. Then there's the display name. This is how it shows in the Kubefirst GitOps catalog. There's a website which is just for documentation purposes so that people can see the source of the application that you're trying to incorporate with Kubefirst. There's an image URL that's just for presentation so that you can have an icon associated with your new application. There's a description field. We do have restrictions on how long it can be. And there's a categories field, and we have restrictions there as well that I wanted to call out.
And right now, John, every restriction or things you need to know, they're written down in the README. But it's in my plan at some time when I have time to basically create a kind of like YAML schema and have some YAML validation So it's going to make even your life easier.
Awesome.
To be sure that like when you do a PR, it goes in the right direction.
Right on, right on. So, that was step 1 of 4. We're just cruising at this point. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is create a new folder called exactly what you named it. So we're going to create a new folder here, call it Flappy K-Ray, boop, and it needs Argo CD content. Now, whatever you put in this directory is going to show up in your downstream users' GitOps repository when they install it. But we have some new cool features that I get to highlight today that I'm truly super excited about. Shout out to my buddy Christian for cramming that in for the live stream today. So I'm going to, I have a application YAML that I'm going to drop in here. New file. And let's look at this together. So basically, you can have as many Kubernetes resources or Argo CD application kinds in this directory. The Argo CD sync waves are honored. So here you can see that we're creating an application with sync wave 0. And then we have this YAML file separator right here with the 3 dashes. And then down here, we also have a dedicated ingress for this. We're going to turn this thing on and make it available to the internet. Now, you might be wondering, well, this all looks a little technical and complicated. How do I create one of these? The cheap answer would be, well, go to Argo CD's docs. They have great docs. Just go read and you'll be able to figure it out pretty easily. A handy tip that I wanted to put on screen today, though, is the Argo CD experience itself as a ClickOps tool. So if you're in Argo CD and you know that you want to add a new application, a new Helm chart, a new GitOps directory, a new whatever it is that you might want to do. Sometimes it's a lot easier to click your way through to your initial success than it is to play with YAML and try and get it exactly right. So if you went to applications in Argo CD and said, we don't recommend this as your permanent way to add apps to your cluster, but it's really great for getting that YAML that you want. So if we said here, I'm going to call this example, give it a default project. Not too much of this matters. I'm going to say auto create a namespace. And for the repository URL, now this can be a Git repository or it can be a Helm chart. And if we take a look at let's see. If we take a look at the chart itself, this is the Helm chart that we're reading from. So if I copy that and drop that in here, and say that it's not Git, but a Helm repository, there's some charts that are suddenly available. And you can come through and pick whatever it is, Argo events, and pick the version that you want to install, and pick a cluster destination, and a namespace, and whatever. Then down here, this is the really convenient part. Argo CD is going to ingest the Helm chart and identify all of the parameters that are available for you to set configurations for. And you can just come in here. They'll set all the defaults automatically for you. But if you wanted something to be, a little bit different than the way they install by default, then you can change it from 1 gigabyte to 2 gigabytes or whatever you want. And it's gonna automatically create this YAML file right here that is an application kind from Argo Proj that has a destination and a source. And you can literally copy this content. And this is the same content that we are building here. You can see that we have the application kind from Argo CD project, and it has a destination and a source. And you just drop that content right there in the spec. And that's the easiest way to get that YAML if you enjoy sort of going through that Argo CD ClickOps experience to generate it, it's a great way to get there.
Actually, it's a pretty good tips because always need to find like where in the documentation the information is, or like struggle to artifact to like find the Elm chart information, and now
Exactly.
like it's all in your face, and you get those automatically. So
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
good.
No.
That's a
Yeah.
good tip.
It's a handy feature. You know, sometimes you copy from another file, and that can be just as easy. But if you're starting from scratch and you really want to like hit save and see that the changes that you're configuring are doing exactly what you want it to do before you apply it to GitOps, then this is the easiest way to do it. You just hit save here, and it creates it. And then once you have it working the way that you want it working, just grab that YAML file, drop it in the spec from your GitOps, and you're off to the races. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna hit.
actually, most of the time you can just like copy a previous application and like just change like the Elm chart name and the version, and like print the URL, because like most Elm chart, they won't require like specific configuration.
Yep.
And usually like what you want in the case of a catalog like that is mostly use the default value. So,
yep. Yeah. Yep. So that's basically all we're doing here. We have this application YAML set up to read from our own charts Kubefirst repository, and we only have a single version of Flappy K array. It doesn't need many updates. Let's see. We have it going to the Kubefirst namespace in the management server, and we're adding an ingress, and this is actually kind of new and cool. Just yesterday, in fact, I think it was technically today, we got this feature added to the GitOps catalog where you can include tokens in your application spec. And we haven't documented yet what tokens are available, but there's a ton of them. And it includes things like your domain name, your cloud account, your cluster name, all this rich metadata that we have in the Kubefirst management cluster that might be valuable for when you're defining your spec of what you want deployed to your clusters. You can use these tags now, and we'll replace those values in the downstream cluster.
I requested that feature like last week. Talk about like a nice turnover.
Yeah, no, this has been on my radar since GitOps Catalog was built, because ingresses, frustratingly, always need different DNSs downstream, and we don't know what those domain names are. And so incorporating ingresses into the GitOps Catalog until literally today was always a pain point for us. But now that we have this token implementation and the ability to hot swap, and we not only have done that, Chris even went a little bit further, and we allow our end users now to define their own tokens as well. So let's say, for example, you wanted to register with the GitOps catalog, some particular application, but you know that a user of that GitOps catalog app may want to be able to configure the number of replicas of pods that are in that deployment. All you have to do now is set a config in the index YAML, and that's all it's going to take. We'll prompt the end user to give a value for whatever value it is that you need, and we'll do a string replacement before we apply it to your GitOps repository, so that you can have that fine configuration detail on the applications that are being added to the platform.
I'm really excited about that, because it may look like, if you're just joining us or you're new to the GitOps catalog, it may be something that seems trivial, but that really brings, from my point of view, that really brings the catalog experience to the next level. Because prior to that, if I wanted to do this, I had to click install. The YAML would have been added to my GitOps repo. I would have to go manually change those value in my YAML file, which, let's be honest, it's not that complicated, but that kind of like defeat the like easy install button. And so now that we have that, I think we're in the right spot. So I can tell you, folks, the next release is going to be amazing with the new UI, like you've just seen, that feature for the GitOps catalog. And as you know, we talked about that. We're implementing AWS. Actually, we already have AWS support, but now we're going to have like the full management with workload cluster support. So the full experience that you can now have on Civo and DigitalOcean is going to be available also on the AWS. So that's going to be a big release. The next one.
Yeah, I think so. This is all it takes. This is the pull request. No. I'm sorry. I missed one more detail. The most important detail, the logo. Oh my gosh. Everybody wants to have a good logo when they're in the marketplace. So we have a directory in here called logos. It's a very easy way to get a logo added. Technically, it could be from some other upstream, but I think we prefer for it to just be right here in the directory.
Yeah, actually, I changed that in the README, and I say like add the logo to the repository for the simple reasons that like we don't want to depend on a third-party server that we don't have access to. Like you can have your logo right now, but like you change the path to your logo on your website or whatever. And that's it. The GitOps catalog doesn't have access to the logo anymore. So, so please have the file directly in the repository.
Right on. So I'm gonna reveal this in Finder and bring that over here. Paste my brand new Flappy K-Ray image in here. We do have some details about its size and shape and format. You can get that out of the README. And let's go ahead and add this thing. Git commit.
Actually, for the logo, what do we suggest is, and now I'm saying that, and John just commented PNG, but like, what do we suggest? Like, if you have a SVG version, that's going to be amazing. But like, if you don't, a PNG is good. And we have some, like, what is the best resolution or what's the resolution is going to be displayed. But like, obviously, higher quality, the best. Even if we don't display big logo in the catalog, you know how it is.
Yep. Great call out. So let's go ahead and push this up. And Fred, if I could bother you for an approval once we get some green checkboxes. And while we're waiting on those green checkboxes, just a final review here. We're creating a Floppy K-Ray application. We're including an ingress. It's going to be floppyKray.whatever your domain name is.com. And we have added it to the index, and we created a logo, and we have the image URL pointing to the right directory and everything. Great name. Everything's looking good.
Actually, I just approved the PR, and her buddy Jairo was faster than me. So I assume, Jairo, you're watching the live stream right now.
Oh no, Jairo is on the ball. That might have been a natural approval right there. So, all right, so that thing's approved, and now that's up in GitHub.com space, and all of the Kubefirst management clusters in the world right now are on a regular poll every 30 minutes, checking in with that repository, and if there's an update, they'll replace the applications that are available to all of the already existing Kubefirsts. Now, for the sake of expedience, I don't want to wait for a half hour. So I'm going to play some quick shenanigans and restart the Kubefirst API pod. When we restart the Kubefirst API pod, it'll wake up and refresh that list on startup. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that. Oops, I need to log in again through Vault. And let's go back to services. And
as you can see in the services page right now, there is our Go events because we install it to the catalog. So everything you're going to install to the catalog will show in the provision services page.
Yep, spot on. So let's go to Argo CD here, and we're going to go to Kubefirst. And there's an API pod down here. Note that there's API EE and API, and I'm deleting the API. And when this thing starts up, we can follow the logs. And we should see in just a second that it is pulling from the GitOps catalog. There we go. Updated GitOps catalog application directory. So just by doing that, when I go to my Kubefirst console, if I hit refresh and go to my GitOps catalog, boom, now we have a new Flappy K-Ray here that's available to me as an end user. I didn't have to really do any updates. I happened to restart my pod, but that naturally would have happened within 30 minutes had I not done that.
You won't have to do that at home.
So let's see what happens with Flappy K-Ray. When we hit install, it should work just like Argo events did. And we should be able to see that again by going to our GitOps repository and in the registry clusters management. Here we can see down in F, as of just a second ago, we have some new files for the Flappy K-Ray service. And if we look at that, it looks just like it did up in the GitOps catalog, except that freegitopsmagic.com is the domain instead of what we had in angle brackets as the domain name. And that's what we're talking about in terms of being able to replace values with instance details of downstream instances, management cluster. You can, we'll document what all the tokens are that are available to you for hot swapping, but it's a ton of them and everything that you would need. Mostly the only thing that you need is like the cluster name in the cloud and maybe the region usually, but nevertheless, they're all available to you and super convenient feature for us. So if we take a
I was just going to say right now, there's a thing where the GitOps catalog will install application by default on your management cluster. But in some next version, like I don't want to commit yourself, I don't know when, but at some point you're going to be able also to use the GitOps catalog to install on your workload cluster. So it was just by design because when we created the GitOps catalog, we only had the management cluster. But yeah, at some point, we're going to be able to install on workload clusters too.
Yep. So just like any application that has an Ingress associated with it, if it's wired up with Ingress class of Nginx, we're going to do the works with it. We're going to, we have the platform wired up with external DNS. So right now it's created there's already a load balancer associated with Ingress Nginx. That load balancer is now going to have a new A record created in your domain for Flappy K-Ray .freegitopsmagic.com that points to that Nginx load balancer. In addition, we have Cert Manager wired up so that whenever a new host name is identified, it automatically is going to reach out to Let's Encrypt, get a new production TLS certificate to protect the TLS details of the application that you've added. And it looks like we already got our cert back from Let's Encrypt, so that was pretty swift. The only other detail that I need to make sure the audience understands is that DNS propagation is an imperfect science, and you will add applications that have ingresses, and you'll want them to be available that second, and they just won't be for minutes. Sometimes it's a bunch of minutes, usually not. It's usually like 2, 3, 4 minutes, and you get the domain that you're waiting for. If you ever want to watch the domain propagation, you can basically just search in Google domain propagation. There's a tool I use called DNS Checker.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best ones because you can also see like visually on different regions and.
Yeah. So if we type in Flappy K-Ray .freegitopsmagic.com and hit search, you can see that this is already propagated really well. That was super fast. Bravo, Sivo.
Using using that tool is how I decided to stop using my internet provider DNS, because like Canada was always showing like green DNS should have been like available, but like I always had trouble, so I started to use just the Cloudflare DNS and Google as a backup.
Yep. Yeah. And when you're using these DNS propagation tools, understand that they too are not a perfect science. They have sample nodes in various geographical regions, but if you hit search and search and search and search again, you'll get different results as they ping different servers and get different responses back. So it gives you a feel that it's propagating and not much more than that. But I feel pretty good with these results that thing's been propagated, and I'm going to try my luck with this Ingress and see what we get. Boom. We got some Flappy K-Ray. How about that? With a good cert, we can check up here and see that the connection's secure. We have a valid certificate that came from Let's Encrypt. We're happy there. And now, of course, it wouldn't be a live stream if we didn't get to survive some GitOps. Oh, no. I didn't even survive any GitOps pipelines. That's terrible. Give me one more shot. One more shot.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll do it with my left hand. Right hand tied behind my back.
Funny enough, when we were starting to talk about DNS is not an exact science, I just shared the DNS IQ.
That's fantastic. So, Fred, that's pretty much everything that we wanted to show about the experience of adding a new application to the GitOps catalog that's automatically going to go out to all the Kubefirsts that are in the world. And people can just start using those immediately. Now we have some sort of neat directions that we're going to go with the GitOps catalog. Obviously we talked about up front that we want the library of applications that are in the GitOps catalog to grow and grow. And anytime a user has something that they wish was on the Kubefirst platform, but just isn't, it's so easy to get it added onto the Kubefirst platform. It's probably just slightly too opinionated for what we're trying to do with our core offering. Please submit those pull requests. We are very, very open to the community-driven GitOps paradigm.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea of people, like you can look at the list right now and you say like, yeah, okay, it's a catalog, but like there's not a lot of option. Trust us, it's just because like we released that not too long ago. We're busy with a lot of things. It's just a question of times, but we already started to get requests or even lists. Some of the application that we think should be in the catalog. So just to give you an idea, I went through just before the live stream, I went through all the issues created in the catalog and what's going to come next, hopefully sooner than later. Linkerd, Thanos, Grafana, Loki, Mimir, I don't even know what to say that, Flux and Flagger, Axiom, 3V, even Jupyter Notebook. So obviously it's a GitOps catalog, meaning that like, yeah, you can have things that are like specific to your Kubernetes cluster, but I feel like any application that you would like to deploy on a cluster that could be useful for you and users, like the Jupyter Notebook, or like we also have like Prometheus, Botcube, FerretDB, Cilium, Supabase, Robusta, KRR, and the last request, which is not an issue, and it's not a cloud native application. It's just me wanted to have it for the sake of it. It's WordPress because it's the most popular CMS out there. It's the one I use. And I just want to be able to dog food or platform. So seriously, every cloud native application that you think you will need on your Kubernetes cluster, fine. But also any application, preferably with a Helm chart, that could be installed on a cluster because you need it as a user, even if it's not specific to like a cloud native application. There is a place for it in the catalog. So as we said again, it's open source, it's out there. Do an issue, create an issue if you don't want to have the application or create a PR. This is why we are doing that video, to empower people and show you how it's easy. And I know it sounds a little bit weird because now we're 45 minutes in, but if John would do the process without me or him talking about everything and anything, it's a 5-minute thing. If you know the application that you're heading and you know how to retrieve the logo. So with that said, John, you were talking talking about, we basically touched base about the fact that, like, yeah, there's that GitOps catalog right now that is open source, that is available on like every Kubefirst installation. You have access to all the items in the catalog. But what about if I am an enterprise, I have my own internal application that, hey, you know what, maybe I don't want to share with the rest of the world. Like how is it working, or how it's going to work?
No, yeah, it's a really good question. We have a handful of improvements that we're going to be adding onto our pro tier user interface. So for everybody that's been tuned into the Kubefirst story for the last 4 years, you know that we have always been 100% cost-free, 100% open source, 100% community oriented and driven. After 4 years of being open source, we are about to be open for business, and really looking forward to that. We're introducing next month. In fact, it's this month now. How did February happen? So this month we're going to be introducing our pro tier. We're keeping all of our commercialization plans in the user interface. So the platform itself will always be free. It'll always be yours. It'll always be, you can take it any direction you choose, et cetera, et cetera. We have a whole bunch of convenience features that we're going to be adding to our user interface layer. And some of those include the GitOps catalog, and being able to customize some details about the GitOps catalog. So the first thing that we're probably going to do is allow you to be able to target a cluster when you install a GitOps catalog application. You probably noticed that the install, when we're installing these tools, are going directly to the management cluster, and that'll stay that way on the community edition. On the pro tier, we're going to allow you to pick from any of the physical or virtual or management clusters that you have in your Kubefirst platform. You'll be able to pick which cluster you want the GitOps catalog component delivered to. In addition to that, we have, and I should probably show this with a little bit of, to provide a little bit of color. If we go to the GitOps repo, there's a templates directory that we give you in the GitOps repository that we give you when you do an installation of Kubefirst. And it includes the details of how you want clusters created. This gets into cluster management and basically being able to build fleets or models of how you want your Kubernetes clusters constructed and what applications you want in those clusters. And we're going to allow the GitOps catalog to be able to write directly into these templates as well, so that if you want, you know, Datadog agent in every single one of the clusters that you provision, then you can just ClickOps install directly from the GitOps catalog into your template. And then every cluster that's ever created from that point forward that leverages that template will have that component included in it. And then back to your original question, Fred. What if you're an enterprise organization and you have utility applications that are private, but that are relevant to your Kubernetes infrastructure? Maybe it's some kind of a self-hosted logging implementation. Maybe it's some kind of a security component that's doing auditing for your infrastructure. It could be literally anything. Something that you want in your clusters regularly, but that really just is not appropriate for the open source community. We're going to allow you to host your own GitOps catalog and be able to choose between our upstream open source GitOps catalog, or you'll also be able to leverage your own privately hosted GitOps catalog as well. So we're hoping that it's probably mostly relevant for larger enterprises than anything else. But I know I've worked in shops like that where you have, a platform team that's responsible for droves of development teams, and you want those development teams to have sort of the same tooling, the same of your platform components, so that you can keep tabs on all the things that you need to keep tabs on. And being able to host your own GitOps catalog, we think it's just going to be an exceptional way to keep that manageable. And who knows, down the road, we might be able to leverage the GitOps catalog for Kubefirst upgrades as well. It's a concept that we're sort of experimenting with. We think that that might be the right way to get out of the existing Kubefirst platform that you installed and transition to a new variation of the Kubefirst platform, we'll be able to make updates available through the GitOps catalog that'll allow you to do that upgrade process a little bit more frictionlessly down the road. So that's the direction we're headed with it. Obviously, it's all pretty new, and we have big aspirations, but more than anything, we want to hear from our community. So if you have ideas and thoughts about how you would want to use the GitOps catalog, hop in our Slack, and we'd love to just hear your ideas and what you're thinking and how it could be most useful to you.
Yeah, and if you're curious, because we touched base about like the fact that like this month we're going to introduce like the paid tier of Kubefirst. There is on the website the pricing page that you can go give a closer look, and you're going to see there is a lot of things stuffed in the open source. As John said, it's just like trying to make your life a little bit easier with the paid offering. So go check the pricing page. Things are there for you to understand. If you have any concern about that, like if you're using Kubefirst and like what does that mean when you're going to start to charge, for me already using Kubefirst in production, again, come on the Slack community, join us and ask your question. We're going to be more than happy to clarify things if they're not clear.
Right on. So Fred, I think we did it, buddy. It's nice to get another one under our belt in 2024. I feel like we're getting our old rhythm back. How about you?
It is the case. Like we started those live streams a little bit late at the beginning of the year, but we're back doing those every 2 weeks. And I can tell you, we have some nice show and some guests also coming in future live stream in Q1 and in Q2. So on that note, John, do you know why do programmers take so long in the shower?
I don't, Fred. Why do developers take too long in the shower?
It's because they read the directions on the shampoo bottle, and which I don't, but like others developers do. They read the direction on the shampoo bottle and they follow them to the letter. Ladder, rinse, repeat. So they stuck in that infinite loop. Yes, that was the joke, people. That was so bad.
Wow. That was so bad it made me blush. Congratulations, Fred. You can't usually do that to me, but you got me. You got me.
That was also a hard one for me with like letter, ladder, rinse, which are words that like I struggle a little more in English.
I loved it.
I don't love it. So on that note, everyone, we are true to your real nature. It was still a long live stream, but you know what?
What are you gonna do?
We had fun. We hope you had fun too. You were not too chatty, but we saw you. You were there. So on that note, have a good rest of the Thursday, and it's always a pleasure to do those live streams. See you in 2 weeks, folks.
See you.
Have a good one.